Hello and welcome everybody. I just wanted to get started here and show how to be able to install Windows deployment services in 2012 server R2. This is going to be kind of a speed install. I wanted to set it up and show you how to do it. Now, there are other ways to do it. Most of the time your DHCP server is not going to be on the host that you're doing the imaging on, which it doesn't require. It's not necessary for it to be there. It can be moved someplace else. It's just some other things that you may have to set up to be able to make it work if your DHCP server is on another server. But it is feasible and possible to make it work another way. But the way I'm going to show you, do the deployment services, you could use it as a complete solution to just run this, set it up, get a Pixie boot, install your image. And I'm going to show you how to set it up here. So let's first start off with, I'm using the VMware Workstation. You can actually download the player and use it. You can also download a product called what is it called? Not VMware, but VirtualBox, I believe is what it is. Yeah, VirtualBox is a free one by Oracle that you can also simulate this with. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new virtual machine here. And I'm going to go ahead and use the installer. I believe I have 2012 server right here. I'm going to go ahead and click next on it. And it is 2012 server, so I'm going to just say 2012 R2. Whoops, to be able to set this up. And I'm going to leave it as the default folder where it's going to create it, and I do not need 40 gigs to set, 60 gigs, I can set it up with 40 gigs. Then you also want to select, do a virtual disk with a single file, that way it doesn't make multiple files if later on you want to be able to work on this VM again. So I'm going to click next on that. And one other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do this in my own LAN segment, so I'm not going to use NAT, I'm not going to use bridged. I'm going to create my own LAN segment. I believe I have one. No, I don't. So I'm going to click on LAN segment for my network settings. As you can see, I'm going to go back to that again. And let's see. No, I won't be able to do that. So what I'm doing is that this is just before I'm going to set it up. So I'm going to highlight the NATed version, click LAN segment, and I'm going to call my LAN segment Leroy. And then go ahead and OK it. And then I'm going to select that LAN segment. Now what it is it's just going to separate whatever I'm doing this process, so there's not any outside interference, my home network or anything else that's going to interfere with the deployment of this or cause it to block the deployment server or what have you, anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and OK that now and finish it. And by the way, the default was 2 gigs of RAM on there. I'm just going to get this started up to the screen, and then I'm going to pause it as it's installing because you don't need to watch it installing. So we'll kind of come back to it here. Get ready to pause it when this goes through this process here. I'll get it set up. And this is for the complete solution. I'm also going to show how to be able to capture the image as well. And I'm also going to show you how to be able to put the image on there. So let's go ahead and click next on this. Just 2012 server. Let this get going here so you can see the process, and then I'll pause it. And you don't want to do core. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it in a scripted or in a command prompt version. We're going to do it with a GUI, which is a graphical interface. Standard version is just fine to do this with. Click next on it. Accept the agreement. You want to do a custom install, and there's the 40 gig drive that I created. Click next, and I'm going to pause it until it's done, and I'll be back. Alright, so it looks like that process, looks like it's completely installed, which actually did not really take that long. I think it took about, maybe about 7 minutes? Well, that was pretty quick. This laptop only has 8 gigs of RAM in it, and it's just easiest to do it on this right now since I forgot my headset at work. And it's rebooting, and it looks like it's still going, so I'm going to kind of pause it again. Come back here when it's ready. Alright, it was fairly quick, so I'm going to go ahead and put in one of my standard passwords, especially in a lab environment here. It doesn't have to be that strong. And now we have Windows 2000 set up. So let's go ahead and give it a Control-Alt-Insert since we're running in a VM. Let's go ahead and log in. And what we're going to do, since like I said, this is going to be a standalone server, to make things very quick and easy. So this could, be one of your solutions to be able to solve just about anything when it comes to deployment. So you don't have to worry about the network. You can just set this up, go over to the room, to the place that you need to install, hook up a switch, or hook into the main switch in the building, go put it in the closet, and then disconnect it from the main part of the network, and boom, you've got a DHCP server, DNS, Active Directory, everything ready to go. So we're going to install two things first that we need to get going on here to be able to have this work in this fashion. So this is, like I said, again, standalone. One of the things I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the name of the computer first. Makes things kind of easier, so I can shorten the name, like image. All right, I'm going to call this computer image. So let's go ahead and OK. It's going to ask me to reboot. Let's go ahead and do that. And let's do later. The only reason why I'm saying later because I want to change the IP address too. So let's give it a static IP address, and this could be anything that you want. I'm just going to happen to use this under IPv4 properties, and I'm going to go ahead and let's do 11.1. Let's just say the first IP address is 10. Actually, let's do it at 40. Okay, and hit your tab key down. It's not required to have a default gateway. It's not required to have DNS, but we are going to set up our own DNS on this machine. So in this case, since we're setting DNS up and everything that's on this, you're going to need to put in the IP address as your DNS because we're going to set up Active Directory on this as well. Alright, we've set our static IP address up. Make sure that it registers right here. Sometimes it needs a bit of a refresh. There we go. So it's set up. I want to go ahead and go to my dashboard, add roles and features, click next, next. Now actually, whoops, sorry. I need to reboot it first. See, I almost got stuck in that. So let's go back around, let's reboot it. Okay. So I'll pause it, so when it's rebooting here, you don't have to wait here. Whoops. Alright, nice and fast, the way I like Windows 2012 to be, which is very nice. And by all means, you could deviate the way that I'm doing this, but this way seems to work the quickest. Get yourself up and running with this. And wait for this to load up. And what I'm going to do is I'm at my dashboards, and I'm going to go to, now as long as it's going to let me do it, it is doing something here in the background. Looks like it's finished. That's okay. These services are normal. Do not work right off the bat. They're kind of catching up with it. But I'm going to go ahead and go to Add Roles and Features. Click Next, Next, Next again, and I want to go ahead and install the DNS server. Add the features. So I may have done that a little bit too quick, so I'm going to click on DNS server. Add the features, click next again, next, restart the destination server if required. I'm going to check that box, click install. This is pretty quick, it usually doesn't take that long. I may not have to even bother with pausing it. And there it's going. Good so far. And it looks like it might take a second or two. So I'm going to just pause it just to save you the time of just setting here. Be right back. Alright, looks like it's done. And let's see what it's asking me here. Looks like everything's good on the tasks. Looks like it doesn't need anything else. So we can proceed. And let's see, I believe we probably can install the DHCP server now as well, which I don't see any issue with doing first. Oh, you know what? Let's just go ahead and let's add the Active Directory instead. We'll add DHCP afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to Manage, Add Roles, click Next, Next again, and I'm going to select on Active Directory Domain Services, Add Features, click Next, You know, some of you may say, you know what, he's installing Active Directory on here. Yeah, you know, it's not necessary. You can do it as a standalone, but it just makes things work a little bit more easier, and it gives you good practice with using Active Directory for one, is the reason why I'm doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this, as I do know this will take probably about 5 minutes or less, but I'm going to go ahead and pause it. It looks like it's going through already, but I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and I'll be right back. Alrighty then, we're back. Okay, it's asking me to promote to a domain controller, and we're going to. Let's click on the function to do that, and this is going to be a domain controller not in an existing, but in a new forest. We're going to be, this is because this is a root name, so we can call this, you know what we could do, actually we can call it, hold on here a sec. Okay, so I'm going to call it deltacampus.prv, meaning a private network. So if you're in that network, if you're actually in this network domain, you could still create it this name, and it wouldn't harm it, because what you're doing with this system anyway is you created a machine to be able to deploy images, so you're not going to connect it to the domain. This is like in a way, a solution to be able to get things done really quickly, to get over a hurdle of installing multiple computers. So let's click next. Oops, you know what, I forgot to put a password on it. It should complain about it, but it's not going to. Which it should be, but it didn't. It let me leave it blank, which is not good. Sorry about that. I'm doing the video here, trying to think of some other things that I'm actually doing right now too. So you shouldn't leave the password blank, but it's actually going to accept it. But since you're doing Windows deployment anyways with it, it really doesn't matter. No, it's not taking too long. If it doesn't pop up here, maybe I should just pause it. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put a password here. I'm just putting the same password I did before. Okay, click next on it. It's okay. It's going to create one now. Generating the net bias name, that's going to be image that was on there. Next. Go ahead next again, which is pretty easy. This is really not that hard to set up, as you can see. And this one I might need to pause it. I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and we'll be back when it's done. Alrighty, let's finish by installing it, and it should be finishing up right here. I might need to just pause it again, see if you guys been boring you to death, and then alright, it's asking me it's going to be removed, so let's go ahead and OK it, close it, and it should be, yeah, good, it's starting to reboot. Just so you can see, it's going to reboot, finish installing as a domain controller, and I'm going to pause it until it boots back up again. Which really actually isn't that long, so maybe I can just wait to let you guys see it. Well, should be coming up momentarily. There it is. You know, Windows 2012 server is just absolutely fast. Love it. Oh, maybe I will pause it since it's taking a little bit. I'll pause and I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. It looks like it's rebooted and it's going through. Let's do a Control-Alt-Insert to get this to work. Alright, loading up. We should have Active Directory off and running here. Now, one of the things that you might want to do, it's actually probably not enough hard drive space to be able to do some multiple images. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more drive in it after we do the DHCP install. So let's just keep that in mind here. I want to look at the actual IP address I gave it here again. Let's see, I gave this one 10.11.1.40. And what I'm going to do is let's go back to the dashboard here. Let's go to Add Roles and Features. Click Next. Next again. And next again. And what I want to do is I want to select DHCP Server. Click Add Features. Click Next again. And there's no defaults, nothing else we need to select in here. So you're going to click Next again, Next, and then Install. And this is pretty quick. It doesn't take very long to be able to install this. Maybe I might pause. Yeah, I'll pause it. Alright, it's finished. Let's click Close. And what we need to do is we need to set up the DHCP server and install a scope for it. So let's click DHCP, Complete DHCP Service. Let's click Next on it. And defaults are fine where it's currently at under the current user. Commit. Let's click OK. Alright, let's go ahead and configure it. Let's go ahead and turn these tasks off. Let's go ahead and go to Center Manage. Now, Center Tools. Let's go to DHCP Server. Let's go ahead and make sure that it's activated. Looks like it is. Let's add a new scope into it. Right click on it. New scope. Click Next. And call it Image Deployment. Click Next. The name is pretty much irrelevant. It doesn't have to be that. So since my IP address was 10.11.1.40, I'm going to make this one starting at 41. We'll do 10.11.1. Let's make it, since we're just doing this as a lab, I can just make it 51 is fine. Okay. Default on your subnet mask. We don't need to add any exclusions at this time. Clicking Next. Yes, I want to be able to send these options and make them work now. Click Next. We're still clicking Next because we're not changing any settings on this because it's not necessary for this setup. Yes, I want to activate the scope now. Click Yes. And you notice that we have our DHCP set up with an IP address. Looks like it's all up and running, which is good. Alright, and one other thing that you want to do is so that it doesn't affect your particular network that you're doing. So you want to go to the firewall. So what you're going to do is you want to go down here, right click on the Start menu, go to Control Panel. You can actually type this in, you don't have to do it this way, so there's many ways of doing it. And I want to go to the firewall, and I want to turn off pretty much everything on the firewall because, you know, really you should probably set it up to where that you're running rules through it, but for this purpose, you're trying to get deployment of Windows. You don't want to have to mess with this stuff because you're really not going to have this thing on 24 hours a day as it is anyways. Alright, and now finally what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Server Manager, and we're going to install Windows Deployment Services. Alright, you know what I did, let me look at the size of the drive here again. So we got 39 gigs left. You know what, let's add another drive. I mean, typically you're not going to have a 40 gig drive in here like I have, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add another drive in here, go under Settings, and I'm going to add another drive. So let's go to Add, and I'm going to call it's going to be a hard drive. Click Next on it. SCSI's fine. Click Next. A new virtual disk, yes. You know what, I'm going to make it 70 gig. I mean, you actually need more than this anyways. But I'm going to click Next. Click Finish. Usually Windows doesn't give too much of an issue loading this up. Works almost exactly like a SAN. So let's go ahead and go right click, go to Control Panel. Let's go to System and Security, Administrative Tools. And we want to go to Computer Management. And then we want to go to Disk Management, and let's see, did it detect? Looks like it did. Looks like it hasn't recognized it yet. Let's right click on it, put it online. Let's right click on it. Yeah, is it going to go online? Is it going to take a little bit? Looks like, oh, initialize this. There we go. Good. Yeah, I did do it. So good. We can do it all in one go. We want to right-click on that partition. New simple volume. Next. And you're going to use the entire space. So there's really nothing else other than clicking next. And it's drive E. That's fine. And you want to do the quick format because you don't want to be sitting here waiting for that big to format. And then now I have my secondary drive. Now, if you were doing this on a regular computer, you could do the same as long as you had enough hard drive space to do it. So let's go back, make sure I have that. Yes, I do. I have drive E, which is 70 gigs now, so I can finish setting up the image on there. So let's go ahead and go back to the server manager. Let's go ahead and add features and roles. Click next. Next again, and what we want to do is we want to highlight where it says Windows Deployment Services, which is down here. Windows Deployment Services. Click next. Click next again. Yep, you're just going through the defaults and clicking next. You're leaving everything on there. Default server, deployment server, everything's all the same. I always like checking this box in case it needs to restart so that you don't try to work on a system that needs a reboot, because then that can be a nightmare just trying to get it to work. Because all that time you've been messing with it, it needed a reboot to get it to work. So, and I'm going to go ahead and pause it for this part of it, and I'll be back. And it looks like it's done. So let's go ahead and click OK. And it's going to have in here where I need to proceed to set it up. That's fine. Okay, so let's go to Tools. Let's go to Windows Deployment. We need to be able to configure it here, so that's why it's asking, showing this. So you right click on it and say configure your server. Let's click next. And integrated with Active Directory, yes. And here's the reason why I created the other drive, because I know the drive doesn't have enough space, and I believe my drive letter was E. Yeah, it is E, so that's the only thing I need to change here. Let's put this as E. And you can change it later on, but it does require some commands in the command prompt. You want to check on here where it says respond to all clients known and unknown. That means that similar hardware, things that it doesn't know max. It really doesn't matter. You just want anything that you're setting this up to be able to respond to that network boot. So I want to check respond to all client computers known and unknown. Click next. We're beginning that install process right now. And it looks like it's almost up and running. We only need to right click on it, and tasks for the server, we want to start. And we've successfully started our deployment server. So now what we need to do is we need to load our images. Well, we need a boot image. Okay, a boot image is like, I'm going to do a standard install. Okay, this is a standard Windows 10 that I've downloaded from the web. This is an enterprise version. And what I've done is I've extracted the main install from it. You know what, I may have forgot to be able to put the boot one over on there as well. So I may have to go back and copy that. So you might have to hang on here just a sec. And let me pause for a second. I gotta download that. Alright, I've downloaded it. Now I have the boot.wim. This is all included on the CD when you're setting it up from Windows 10 or Windows 8 or Windows 7, whenever you're using to be able to do this deployment. So let's go back to the VMware here really quick. You know what? There's something I need to set up here to be able to gain access to this. And I might as well just show you how to do it since you're going to have to deal with this problem. So I need to get an image into a virtual or a VM. What I need to do is I need to enable the functions, right click on the VM, the settings, and I need to go to options, shared folders. Actually, I'm going to have to shut it down to be able to do it. So I'm going to type here. Let's shut down the server. It doesn't take too long. Might have to do one or two reboots. I also have installed VMware tools, but you need to know how to do this. So I'm going to right click on the VM, go to settings, and I want to go to options, and where it says shared folders, I want to do always enable map drive with Windows guest, which is fine. And what I want to do is I want to add my desktop is where I want to do this. I just want to access the desktop. Probably not always the best thing to do, but quick and easy way to do this kind of thing. Okay, so I'm going to click next on it, click finish, click OK, and then I need to fire up the VM again. Now we're waiting for it to install. Oh, not install, I'm sorry, boot up again. This doesn't usually take too long. Only thing is, I need to install the VMware tools inside of it. And one last reboot, and then I'll be able to gain access to my desktop folders here, so we can do this. And the reason why I got to do it this way, by the way, is if you have kids, that usually, I have 2 boys, and they actually dropped my laptop, and my CD-ROM is bad about a month ago here, so I just have not had time to replace it. Almost done here. It's looking good so far. So what will happen is this is going to have a share in it. And I'm able to have access to the desktop. And the only thing I have to do now is I have to right click on this, and I want to go to install VMware tools. Takes a second for this always to come up. Has to populate the CD-ROM, so yep, it already did. So double click on it. Let's install the VMware tools. Usually this doesn't take too long to do. And I want to say, for a server that's only running 2 gigabytes of RAM in it, it's pretty fast in a VM. I am waiting for that screen to come up, so you know that it's just not blank. There it goes. Must be asking some kind of question there. Does it look to be? This part is always gone. I might just pause this for a second until it goes out for that. So I'll be right back. Alright, it's done. Let's go through and do a typical install. Alright, it's finished. I'm going to reboot again. Alright, let's resume here. Alright, she's firing up again, just about ready to go. Should have a share folder on there, and voila! I have my shared folder. So now I can pull the information from my desktop here. Windows 10. So put that up here. Doesn't take too incredibly long to do. And again, I'm loading this so that we can load our image. So you can boot to the network and you can be able to install this from scratch. And this is the basic setup, and the next part of the tutorial is going to be creating a unattended XML file to run in the server so that you don't have to answer any of these questions that are going to be faced with on a normal install. And I'm going to show you that here briefly so we can do this and get you going on it. Bear with me while this is loading. That's actually copying it over. So, and it's done. Let's go back to our server manager. Let's go back to tools, Windows deployment. Let's go back to our servers, and we want to load 2 servers in this. So first, let's do a boot image. Right click on it, add boot image, and let's go select it. I actually told you could get this off of the DVD, but I showed you that I'm just copying it on there because I don't have a DVD or a CD-ROM in this computer. Go to my desktop here, Windows 10, select the boot image for it. It's accepting it. Click next, and I like to change this so you know what it is. Windows 10. 64-bit. You can name them both the same name, it really doesn't matter. Okay. Click next. Next. Then finish, and let's go to our install images. Right click on it. Install image, and it's usually nice to be able to save this like let's see, what would be a good name? Create an image name. You can leave as default, but it's probably better to name it. Let's call it Windows-10. Okay. Click next. And it's going to ask me for the install when. Select that, click next, and look at it. Found that it's a Windows 10 evaluation version, enterprise. Click next on it. And this one does take a little bit to install, so it is a little bit slow on this, but all in all, I mean, depends on what you think is slow. I mean, let's look at how many minutes it's actually been 30 minutes that I'm setting this up. And of course, with a computer with more RAM on it, and it's faster. This is running on an SSD, by the way, on this laptop, so it's pretty quick. Yeah, it's loading pretty fast. And we're just about done. We'll be ready to deploy our first image. Let's click finish. It looks like everything's good. So what I want to do now, since I've got everything loaded up in there, usually it's a good idea to restart this. So, just to make sure it's accepting your settings and everything on it. So let's go to all tasks, restart. And I'm just restarting the deployment server just to make sure that it's working. So let's give it a test out while you're here with me right now. So I'm going to go ahead and go to File, New VM. Click next on it, and I don't need it to install an operating system because I'm going to install it over the network from in this VM. So I'll click next on that, and yes, this is Microsoft, and this is actually going to be Windows 10 64-bit. So select that, and we'll just call this one 10 test. Click next, and I'm going to change this to 40 gig as well. Select store virtual disk as a single file, makes things easier to manage. I need to change my hardware because I need to go to my network adapter, select my LAN segment like I did before. I called it Leroy. So now it knows that that's the network that I want to boot from. Click finish on it, and we should fire this up. And it should want to boot to the network as soon as it comes up the first time. And there you go. Let's hit F12 to run it. Oh, did I miss it? I think I missed it. Hang tight. Yeah, here, I want to show you what I did. I'm going to restart it again just so you know what happened. The way it's set up, you can turn this feature, you can turn this feature off. But if you don't get in the VM fast enough to hit the F12, is why I did that. So what you got to do is you got to click in the display here. Well, this is just a VM problem with the workstation. Okay, I got to click in the window so that my mouse takes effect, and I hit F12. Boom, she booted right up, no problem. So it's going to be slower when this is running on the network. You'll have a timeout period on it, but here again, this one was going so fast because first I had to click my mouse to even register in the VM. The virtual machine, and then I had to hit F12 before I didn't hit it in enough time, just so you know. And I'm going to let this come up on here so you can see what this is going to do. Yeah, one of the advantages too is once you set this up with a CD, you will never need a CD again from your base install image. If you need to set a whole new one up from scratch and set everything up again, and then make it so that you're using all of this, so yeah, you're really good to go. So just hang on here a sec. Be right back. Oh, that looks like that wasn't too long. So I'm going to go ahead and click next on this, and what it's asking me for is the username and password that I have in there. So it's going to be sorry, don't have my glasses on. It's the default account, which is administrator. And it accepted that. You can see here's the operating system, and then we can actually see how long it takes to install it. It is going to ask me to be able to format the drive, which I'll click next on. And I'll leave this kind of in real time so you can see how long it's taken to actually install it in a VM. Turn on the clock down here so you can actually see it. And just to remind you that this is installing it over a VM on a laptop with only a single 8 gigs of RAM in it, and this is how fast that it's installing Windows 10. It's now been running, what, 2.5 minutes, and it's 21% done. The next video tutorial I'll add on to this, and I'll show how to be able to create an unattended install file that's tailored to run from the server. So there's two different types. There's a unattend that you set up in the server, and then there's an unattend for a standalone one. It's actually the combination of two settings. So one for the server, one for the desktop, and you combine them together in the same unattended install file. So it's just slightly a little bit different. So we're at 39-40%. You can see that we've been running 2 minutes and 45 seconds into the install. I'm going to leave the clock up on there and just pause it for this in between just so you can see the difference in time. So I'll pause it. You can see that it's still installing, and it's done on the probably the longest part that it takes to install. Again, remember, I'm running a video capture program on this at the same time while I'm installing this in the same VM, and it's just about done. And there you go. There's Windows 10 completely installed. The only thing you have to do is answer the questions afterwards. This is what the tutorial will be for the next one. It'll eliminate all of those questions and answers that are coming up. And let's just see how long it takes to boot so we can all see it boot up. And that'll be the end of the video. And you notice that it's not booting to the Pixie boot or the network boot again. It's not doing that because it already knows that it has an operating system on the drive, so there's no reason to boot to the network card. And if it does come up when you're on a regular hardware desktop, you just don't click anything. You don't click F12. You just let it bypass so it'll finish installing. You don't even have to worry about it. So there you go. You have Windows 10 installed. It's just about done. And I'll leave it running just so you can kind of gauge on how long it actually takes. Looks like it's doing one more boot. I like that. It just turned the window a little bit. And there you have it. So there's a basic setup install of Windows 10. Probably took about, I'd say roughly about 9 minutes to install. And again, this is only with a server with 2 gigs of RAM in it. It does have an SSD in it, but this is actually a laptop running Windows 10 on it as well. And it's running VMware Workstation 12. So there you go. I'm going to go ahead and process the video and upload it. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you learned something from it. Make any comments, let me know what you think, see if there's anything else that you guys would like. Thanks again now. Bye-bye.